Hello, my name is Rachel Leach and I'm a composer and animateur, and I've been working with the London Symphony Orchestra for over 25 years, leading workshops all across the UK, and this is my one musical thing. If you ask a student to clap a rhythm, the chances are that they'll clap something that's maybe a bit simple, possibly a bit boring, maybe borrowed from somewhere else. But basically, it might limit what you then want to go on and do with that rhythm. So instead of asking to clap a rhythm, ask them a question. And you can be really clever about what question you ask. So let's say you're working with a class of Year 5 students, and elsewhere they're working on travel, ways to move around the world. Or maybe you want to make a piece about travel. So a really good question to ask them would be, what do you see out of the car window as you're travelling to school? Ask them to answer that using a full sentence that they think in their head. And then click, tap or clap a pulse like this. Ask them to think the answer to your question on top of that pulse. So they'll be thinking something like, out of the window, I see a field. Out of the window, I see a field. The next step is to get everyone saying their sentences at the same time as you keep that pulse going. Now, the benefit in this is that if everyone's doing it at the same time, it cuts out any giggles. If anybody's struggling, you can go over and help them. Or if anybody's done something really, really complicated, you can probably spot it and help simplify it. So get that pulse going again. It's really useful if just you do that, not everyone. Count them in and get everyone saying their sentences at the same time. And then, as you keep that pulse going, wander around the circle, listen and help or simplify some of the suggestions. When you've done that, ask for one good suggestion, or maybe you've already heard one, and teach that to everyone in the room, so everyone's performing it at the same time. The next step is the most complicated step, because it's time to clap that sentence. And it's really useful to point out that you want them to clap every syllable of every word, not the pulse. So you don't want this, out of the window, I see a field, because that's clapping the pulse. What you want is, out of the window, I see a field. Can you hear how interesting that rhythm is? And I think we'd have only got to an interesting rhythm like that by using a question. Then once you've got your rhythm, there's tons of things that you can do with it. And if you always refer back to the words, it will help make the rhythm tangible, especially for children who can't yet read notation. So once you've got the words, it will help you remember the rhythm at future sessions, because they'll remember, out of the window I saw a field. You can also manipulate the rhythm because you can put the words in a different order. So it could be, I see a field, out of the window. I see a field, out of the window. What you've done there is you've developed the rhythm in a really quite complicated way, but it's the words that have allowed you to do that. So the basic rules here are, ask a question, get them to say it, get them to clap it, and then eventually get them to play it. Really useful tips for creating interesting and spicy rhythms. Thanks for watching One Musical Thing.